you may well know, is Monster Handler Matt, and I have with me today...
Monster Handler Eric. You may have seen me before on the Extra Life stream.
That's right. Released just this past week officially for all players to buy and breed. The 9th... No, I believe the 10th epic to be discovered in the monster world. So that's cause for celebration in and of itself, but a uniquely... anticipated epic because, of course, it was first revealed on our Extra Life live stream last weekend.
Very exciting clip where you almost got eaten.
Happy to report once again that I didn't suffer any lasting injuries. There was a little bit of, the sort of scuff up quality that you may expect from when being jumped upon by a singing monster, but I'm happy to report that I'm totally okay. Come across their common versions. Those are quite widespread, easy to come by. There's the rare versions, and then of course now we have these epic versions. And the blue one is interesting specifically because when the Maw was first being designed here at Big Blue Bubble, that was one of the color palettes that we were thinking of for the monster. And there's also a white variant that we have never really seen or observed since, but some elements of that art later made its way into the rare Maw, such as, of course, the presence of eyes. The common Maw, of course, has none. And the horns that it uses to grasp its favorite prey, cupcakes.
Which I believe we can see on the screen right now. Oh, it just disappeared. That's great.
But if you were tuning in, you could see that art there. And the other thing that's interesting, of course, about the Epic Maw is its distinctly sharpened teeth, which made it, of course, a dangerous creature to be approaching, as we did when we first observed it in the monster world in the footage during the Extra Life live stream. When some of the singing monsters were first being designed, we wanted to make sure that they were the kind of monsters that were approachable, that were friendly, that weren't all that menacing. So there's some of the art that you might have seen. Michael, if you could actually put that art back up on the stream. In an early design, you can see up there in the top left that the Maw originally had these very sharp teeth that it could use to latch on to things, but then in the interests of making the Maw a little bit more cuddly and less dangerous, those teeth ended up resembling, let's say, human teeth or herbivore teeth, but the Epic Maw brings those back in a big way, and of course, we can't overlook the nose.
No.
The nose is the main attribute of the Epic Maw, and this past week on social, one of the members of our community was asking what the holes were on the side of the Epic Maw.
Because the regular Maw doesn't have holes.
That's right. They just have large sort of pink warts or pustules on them. So we did a little bit of research with the specimens that we had collected, and it's our understanding that they are actually auxiliary nasal tubing, sort of like a spiracle that helps the monster breathe, and that also helps it not catch too many colds, although it is, of course, susceptible. It's flu season. It's that time of year.
Maybe we could recap exactly how these epics came to be discovered.
I think that's a great idea.
So here's what I know, and you can confirm, as you are a great student, you are a particularly perfect pupil of Dr. Warden E. Spurt, whose contribution was great to all monster handling.
Certainly.
So, to recap events for everyone, there was an old recording of an interview with Dr. Spurt that was uncovered.
That's right.
Now, somebody got a hold of it. Not us, but somebody.
We're not sure who, right? Yes.
It's still a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did is they attempted to upload it to our YouTube channel using pirate signals, which obviously kind of mixed up the video.
That's what happens with pirates.
There was all sorts of distortion from it. The colors inverted. It was the audio was hard to hear.
Coming in and out.
And there were pieces of the description and title that obviously didn't translate properly. Fortunately, with the help of our awesome community, they helped us piece together all these different elements. Once we got the video in order and unscrambled, we were able to hear the audio interview with Dr. Spurt, and he seemed to be speaking from a time before even rares were discovered, very early in monster discovery, and he was theorizing that there must be other almost variants of monsters based on more extreme environments.
So I think that's a very good synopsis, Eric. What we know about Dr. Spurt is that he was a naturalist who had a great affinity for the natural world of the human world, and we're still not sure of the details of this, but had some chance encounter, some serendipitous contact with the monster world, and was, of course, fascinated by it. At the time, his research wasn't really accepted as real. I'm not sure how much people actually believed him.
It would be hard to believe hearing that for the first time.
To begin with, but what Dr. Spurritt did is that based on his observations, he started to collect his field notes about the monster world in a journal. And I have this journal here today. You may have seen it. It was first debuted on our Extra Life live stream, but it contains all sorts of exciting and interesting facets of Dr. Spurritt's own research. And thanks to the contributions of the community, there are aspects of the journal which were sort of unknown to us because this is quite a weather-beaten artifact. There were lots of pages where the ink had smudged, certain pages had been ripped out, and so Dr. Spurritt, when first figuring out sort of the lay of the land of the monster world, had identified the 5 natural islands. And sort of got an understanding of their geography, what made them each unique, the fact that they had these elemental associations with each other, and the big discovery, or the big, I guess, theory of his was that the monsters that were widespread in the monster world could not have been the only versions of those monsters.
Right, not just new monsters, but variants of the ones he'd already seen.
That's exactly right.
Due to external elements, whether that be like the environment, the weather, the temperature.
Yeah, that was one of the major theories attached to the notion of rares that Dr. Spurritt put forward, which is that in extreme environmental conditions, certain populations of monsters would evolve, would take on these huge evolutionary traits that would make them uniquely suited to living in their respective environments. An example that springs to mind, of course, is the epic toe jammer, with its single solitary eye because it lives so far down in the abyssal zone of the living ocean, the fact that it has those anemone-like tendrils on its head, the clawed toes, those digits for latching onto coral beds, things like that. And so while Dr. Spurritt was only operating from a place of theory, we think we now know that he was on the right track.
Yeah, he definitely had the pieces of something, and you took that as inspiration for yourself to basically travel out with a small crew and a camera and try to find more variations than we had before.
That's right, and if you were sticking around with us this past anniversary month in September, those transmissions that various members of our community were debuting, were sharing, were actually collected during authentic expeditions into the monster world that were led by a small team of monster handlers. Now, you may recall that on the Extra Life stream, we sort of made, from an insurance standpoint, that we could no longer make those ventures into the monster world and that we would be looking for other ways to premiere our new discoveries when new epic monster species are located.
Of course, the Mon counter was a little bit too rough for our liking.
Yeah, that was a little close, a close call for me. So, and of course, Big Blue Bubble's insurance policies are great, but they do not extend to intradimensional travel.
Of course.
I don't know too many companies that do.
Frank Aiello, and I'm sorry in advance if I butcher some of these names. Will we ever see Dr. Warden E. Spurritt?
As a devoted follower of Dr. Spurritt's teachings, I can tell you that he was a notoriously shy man. I don't think any photographic evidence remains of his time among us. He did do some what appeared to be self-portraiture that's contained inside this document, but again, that's just speculation because they were never actually labeled. And you know, as I mentioned before, there's some water damage, there's some, you know, the sort of thing that happens when something passes through dimensions. You know, a little bit of wear and tear. So we don't actually have any notion about what Dr. Warden E. Spurritt actually looks like. This might be an interesting opportunity for the community to theorize what Dr. Spurritt might look like, but we have absolutely no plans. We don't have any official imagery.
So really all we have, because clearly he didn't have a problem being recorded in interviews since we have that audio.
That's right.
So maybe, based on that audio, if anyone in the community would like to theorize what Dr. Warden Spirit might look like, please post on social media, hashtag it with My Streaming Monsters. We'd love to see what your thoughts are, because could be anything.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery.
Okay. Why can't epics be teleported to Sugarbush Island? Asks Strimes Tweets 49.
Sugarbush Island is a very interesting island in the monster world because it is, first of all, flowing with legendary energies, and the sort of nature of the legendary element is that it shares a connection with the human world. That's why, of course, we're able to have such monsters as the Sugar Fan populated on it, and it almost sits somewhere on the seam of the monster world and the human world. So because we previously mentioned that epics are most at home and familiar with these extreme elemental environments, right now, because they've just been coaxed out of hiding, they're sort of content to dwell in their sort of natural habitats. That's not to say that epics won't be able one day to be teleported to Sugarbush Island, but I think they need a little bit more time out in the open. They've been in hiding for so long that right now it's just all about acclimatizing to seeing the rest of the other monsters.
Dr. Spirit was interested in just general variations. The Stranger Pixels asks, are there going to be rare Wublins?
That is an interesting question. There's certainly there's no evidence right now that rare Wublins exist. However, it would make sense that the rare Wubox shares the same affinity for creation as its common cousin. It's a bit more of a travel guru because, as you know, rare Wubox journeyed to the human world and picked up all sorts of aspects of human technology on its way and rebuilt itself in human technology's image, and sings a couple of sort of distorted system messages.
Right.
So with respect to rare Wublins, we're not sure yet whether that would be a collaboration between common Wubox and rare Wubox, whether that would be an undertaking taken totally by rare Wubox. And while there's no evidence that exists right now, if there's anything that the discovery of epics has taught us, is that there's lots out there.
There's more out there
that we haven't discovered. And the interesting thing about Wublins themselves, of course, is that they are, relatively speaking, some of the newest monsters in the monster world, because, of course, they were created by the Wubox and given the spark of life by zapping eggs from breeding structures. So if rare Wublins were ever to spring into existence, they would be some of the youngest monsters that we would ever have discovered.
From Alyssa Dickles, have the Wublins explored other islands to meet new monster friends?
Wublin Island was chosen by the Wubox and sort of created in part by the Wubox's supernatural energies to be isolated, because from the safety of the Wubox's workshop, wanted to make sure that the family, the supernatural family that the Wubox was expanding upon, was done in secret. It was very low-key, very subterfugative about its creative efforts. So Wublin Island was deliberately chosen by the Wubox to be quite isolated from the rest of the islands, and because it is coursing with the supernatural element of electricity, there is a very strong storm system that surrounds Wublin Island. So right now, getting to and from Wublin Island is a very harrowing and difficult task for any monsters. While we're not entirely sure that there haven't been any expeditions off the island, the Wublins sort of keep to themselves for now. I think that possibly there's some sort of messaging that's happening between them and other monsters, sort of like a pen pal relationship. I don't know if any of them have ever actually ventured off the island, but I think they're striving to make contact outside. Probably will never leave their Wublin Island home, but in terms of visits, I'd say that it's certainly possible.
eMizzle94 wants to know, what's so different about epic monsters? What makes them better than normal monsters? Now, would you say better?
Better is an interesting term. Different, certainly, but what is better about Epic Monsters from a gameplay standpoint is that both their coin production rates and their max currency rates are a lot higher than either the common or rare variants. So, if you're the kind of player who's interested in maximizing your currency input and making sure that you're generating the most amount of coins that you can on a given island, Epics are your best bet to become quite loaded with currency, and they're some of the best efficiency coin production per bed ratio that exist in My Singing Monsters.
Emizzle94 hits us with an immediate follow-up question. Will Epics be introduced to Composer Island?
Composer Island is another example of an island that sits sort of on the seam between the monster world and the human world. I'm not entirely sure. The fact that there are no rares yet on Composer Island is interesting. We have, of course, introduced rares to My Singing Monsters Composer, the standalone app. But as we previously mentioned on the Extra Life live stream, the My Singing Monsters Composer app exists sort of in a creative playground dream space. It's not necessarily a canon aspect of the monster world. It sort of has its separate storyline. It's where the musical nature of each of these monsters has been distilled down to its finest form and sort of given to you as tools for creating your own monstrous melodies. So, as far as Composer Island is concerned, we're not entirely sure yet. If they ever were to be introduced, I would expect that rares would also make their way there, but Composer Island is an interesting case because of the point that I mentioned, that it does share this relationship with the human world, but is still so rooted in the monster world as well. So that's a long way of saying we're not sure.
As we would say in the Extra Life stream, stumped.
Oh man, I got stumped.
Tubby Bloxian wants to know, will Epics have the ability to breed with other monsters?
A great question. Epics, because they are so uniquely evolved with these amazing adaptations, as of right now, cannot breed. Another thing that we've learned about the monster world, just in the same way that answering one question opens up other questions, there's all sorts of endless possibilities as far as the monster world is involved. So, whereas Epic Monsters may not currently be able to breed, there may be some future promotion where that ability is unlocked. It may be something that they're able to do once all of the epics have been discovered. That's quite a bit of ways in the future. Obviously, as I mentioned, the Epic Maw is only the 10th epic monster to be discovered. So another example of we're not entirely sure yet, but if there's anything that we've learned, it's that outside forces can influence the course of monster history. So, we'll see.
That Dog Rascal 1 wants to know, how do Maws usually act? Maybe as opposed to the one that got a little in your face, the epic variety.
There is a line in the common Maws bio that mentions that they are mouthy and also tonguey. So, as monsters that basically have one big mouth as their sensory organ that they use to explore the world, it's not unusual for a maw to greet you mouth first. And while this may be off-putting to some other monsters, or of course jarring for the monster handlers to experience, it's just their way of getting to know the world around them. So maws are, I think, instinctively curious creatures who like to get a sense of what's going on around them, and they're very friendly as well. But they can be a lot. They're very extra. That's the way I'll put it.
Extra ma. Nah, maybe not. Nah, maybe not. Sombrero Pickle would like to know, does Blabbit like Halloween? And I'll tell you why I specifically appreciate this question. Because Sombrero Pickle is also the user who won our costume contest, specifically by putting a costume on Blabbit. So I think it's very rational that he would like to know, does that winning entry, does Blabbit like Halloween?
So the seasonal monsters have had an interesting relationship over the course of monster history. Some of you who have been around for the entire time that My Singing Monsters has been around may remember that at one point they were referred to as special edition monsters, and then only later did they take up this seasonal mantle.
I didn't know that.
You're learning new things all the time. But the interesting thing is that when seasonals are not participating in their respective seasonal events on the various natural islands, their activities, what they do during the rest of the year, is largely unknown. We've sort of covered that certain monsters go into hiding, certain monsters are migratory. We know, for example, that Yule, for the Festival of Yay, travels by comet.
Right.
We know that schmoochels are migratory animals who travel in flocks together and can go for extended periods of time without landing, and that blabbits, of course, travel by the bubbles that they form. So, to get back to the original question, do blabbits like Halloween? Seasonals instinctively have an affinity for each other, which is why they're so excited when they're able to reunite on Gold Island. So every seasonal likes each other's seasonal event, and in a relationship that's sort of similar to Jack Skellington figuring out the other holidays, they have an interest in and an excitement to celebrate each other's events. So definitively, yes, it is now canon that Blabbit likes Halloween.
Awesome.
And
Right.
spooktical.
Are you working on the new castle upgrade?
So, as we all know, the current topmost form of the castle on your islands is the gold-colored Paradise Castle. This is, of course, crafted in the image of the Crystal Castle that belongs exclusively on Gold Island, and which actually works as sort of a power generator for the monster world. That's the topmost tier of the castle right now. Obviously, with the discovery of epics, we're soon going to be fit to burst. Now, we did recently introduce upgrades for the hotel,
Right.
the enhanced Grand Hotel and the hyper enhanced Grand Hotel. So more of your monsters can be collected and live on any given island at any given time. But of course, we're trying to make sure that as many different kinds of monsters can exist on an island at once. So yes, we are currently working on tweaking and optimizing what sort of castle upgrade might follow Paradise, because how do you follow up Paradise? Right, that's a whole other plane of existence. That's a whole other metaphysical quandary for the monster handlers to try and figure out. So, we're working on it.
I have an answer.
Okay.
And so actually, we do have something to announce. We are going to be making a Furcorn Give Me Strength shirt, which you can see it there. It is just a mock-up. It should be in our Amazon store probably next week. But yeah,
Is there any way to zoom in on the detail on that shirt?
make it big.
There.
Bigify it! And then that should be good.
Yes,
Just
there it is. Looks
transition
great.
over to it.
With that stained glass imagery, I think it really hammers home the sentiment that you were trying to express.
Yes, Furcorn Give Me Strength.
when caught up in the stresses of competitive video game watching.
Exactly.
For today.
The one thing that we do want to leave you with before you go here, Eric, can you put up, should be the top thing, the link to the survey? There we go, it's transitioned. So this is an evolving process. We're trying to figure out what works, what you guys want. So we created a little survey. If you could take that, that would be greatly appreciated. What do you guys want to see? What did you like? What didn't you like? What time works best for you? What day works best for you?
Helps us make My Singing Monsters Live the best that it can be.
Yes, we really want to make this a show that is for you guys, and so getting your feedback on that is greatly appreciated.